So we're talking today about how things get in and out of cells, and one of the ways that they can move in and out is bulk flow. They can move out by exocytosis or in by endocytosis. So exo means moving things out of the cell. So you can see a vesicle here, a transport vesicle, and here's the lipid bilayer of the cell, so the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. And the transport vesicle, maybe it came from the Golgi body or something. It's coming over here and it's fusing with the cell membrane. And it's just a little sac, and you can see it cut in half here to show you what's inside. And here it's fused with the cell membrane, and actually this part now is going to become part of the cell membrane. So if you think of, whoops, exit, come back. If you think of an exit for a building, then hopefully exocytosis will make sense to you. So molecules are moved out of the cell by vesicles that fuse with the plasma membrane. This is how many hormones are secreted and how nerve cells communicate with each other. So if this would be a nerve cell, for example, it would have neurotransmitters in here, maybe serotonin or dopamine or one of the other 50 neurotransmitters, and it would be excuse me, it would be coming over here and releasing its neurotransmitters into the tiny little space between one neuron and another, and the other neuron would pick these up and say, oops, I'd better fire or not fire. Here's an electron micrograph that shows exocytosis happening right after fusion with the plasma membrane. So here's the plasma membrane. Now this is part of the plasma membrane, but a second ago it was part of a vesicle. And here's a bunch of stuff being sent out of the cell. So here's a way cool exocytosis video. Whoa, that was so cool. We have to watch it again. Ready? Whoa. So let's see, inside the cell, outside the cell. And anyway, pictures, more pictures. So here's, oh, we're doing the backwards one now. Endo means inside, so endocytosis means moving stuff in. And so here's a bunch of stuff that's going to come into the cell. And you can see the cell membrane or the plasma membrane invaginating, means coming inside like that. Here it's almost fused, and here it's totally fused. Now this part was the cell membrane a minute ago, but now it's a vesicle inside the cell. There are two major types of endocytosis. There is Pinocytosis and Phagocytosis. This is the one we'll be talking about a lot more. But anyway, we'll define them both. Pinocytosis means to drink, so it brings in liquids and the stuff dissolved in the liquids. Phagocytosis, phago meaning to eat, that brings in solid stuff, so solid materials like bacteria, or if you're an amoeba, it would bring in food. If you're a white blood cell, it'll bring in phagocytosis will be what the white blood cell uses to bring in bacteria or cells infected with viruses or cancer cells or whatever. So pinocytosis is a type of endocytosis, bringing stuff in. And so this is just dissolved stuff. It's almost like the cell taking a drink, bringing in liquids. So molecules are taken into the cell by a vesicle. So the cell forms an invagination, and dissolved materials are brought into the cell. And so another really fantastic video. We'll have to watch this a few times. Look at that stuff coming in. Cool stuff. Here's an example of pinocytosis. Here's a picture of it actually happening, and look at the vesicles coming into the cell. Phagocytosis is another type of endocytosis. This time you're bringing in solid stuff like bacteria or something else. And so you're making a pseudopod here, which is like a little false foot coming up and around the bacterium. And look, it's almost in, and wow, now it's in. Do you remember what your white blood cell would do with this now? If you said bring a lysosome over to fuse with it, then congratulations. Good job. So this is used to engulf large particles like food or bacteria, cancer cells, virus-infected cells, etc. Phagocytosis is about to occur. So here's a white blood cell about to, sending out little false feet to start to eat up some bacteria. Phagocytosis, capture. Oh, this is just a cool picture, I thought. Capture of a yeast cell. This is the yeast cell right here. By the membrane extensions of an immune system cell, some type of white blood cell. Quiz time. Which type of transport does a neuron use when it secretes neurotransmitters outside the cell? So to send stuff out or to exit, it would be exocytosis. Which type of transport does a white blood cell use when it engulfs a bacterial cell? Well, it's taking the bacteria in, so that's endocytosis. Membrane protein functions. I think I'm going to pause here.